Hello, Gemini. I hope that this is a great day for you. I'm so glad you could join me today. We'll be looking at the month of April. And of course, you can always use this for your sun sign, your rising, as well as your moon. And really excited to share with you all the messages that are in front of me here today. A lot of growth opportunities, which I've been seeing across all signs this month. So I'm going to try to help you open up to all of those growth opportunities. Let me talk just a little bit about what's in store for you. First of all, my name is Ashbaugh. This little fur guy here is Apollo, my dog. We're going to be looking at four major parts here in this reading today. I like to begin with channeled messages, which come directly from Spirit. And basically, I show up a couple hours early and just pull together all of those messages for you. And then here in the live reading today, we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to go a little deeper and take a look at all of the opportunities and any of the potential sort of challenges that might be in front of you as well when we look at the Celtic Cross. Then I expand that to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And after health, wealth, love, and destiny, we'll go a little deeper into the soul path. And the soul path gives us a chance to open up either a block that might be appearing or really try to maximize something opportunity-wise that's presenting itself. So yeah, a lot in store today. I'm going to put down Apollo so that we can focus, but he sends lots of love to you guys. And let me talk a little bit about how I work with Super Chat. And I also just like to clarify at the beginning that I don't really answer questions live. This will be general, but I will periodically look to make sure all of this is resonating and you're hearing me. But if you want to show support, a great way to do that is to use Super Chat. So if you've never done that before, there's a little icon right next to the emojis, and you can send just a gratitude exchange of a couple dollars if you'd like to. And that really does helps me continue to buy new supplies and just set up the time necessary to do all of this. So thank you in advance for everyone who has. An easy way to show support that doesn't require anything but a couple clicks is to hit the subscribe button and the like button. That way you'll get a notification whenever I go live. And that's it. All right. Thank you to Dakota and Maria for helping me moderate today and keeping everything in order. And thanks everyone for showing up. I see a lot of familiar faces and a few new ones, and it's always great to be here with you guys. This is a great way to start the day. So Gemini, great stuff coming through for you. As I was meditating on symbols for you today, an old and familiar symbol came to me. When I was growing up, I had a backyard with this beautiful weeping willow. There was like a little stream that was near my property where my family lived. And I have good memories of that tree. And that was your spirit totem. So let's get a bigger picture of it. If you've never seen or been near a weeping willow, gorgeous, gorgeous tree. What I always remember is I would look outside and I would see that kind of gently moving, right? I'm sure that those of you that live maybe in the southern part of the United States, the same thing is kind of true of the moss, that the Spanish moss that comes up and down on the trees. But with the weeping willow, I was always impressed by its flexibility, its beauty, and that the fact that it was always moving, right? So let's talk a little bit about the symbol. I'm going to keep this here because one other thing that I was looking at, which I hadn't realized, is I guess that in Celtic tradition and culture, it's actually part of the arboreal zodiac. That's something I need to do some research on. That's kind of cool. I didn't realize there was one. It kind of aligns to this month when I was looking at it because the month that we're reading for, because I guess in that zodiac, it kind of falls between the 15th of April to the 12th of May. So not quite your sign, but definitely the month that we're reading in. And I've noticed that like yesterday I was reading and I got the amaryllis, which is blooming in parts of Australia, New Zealand, South Africa right now. So sometimes I just pick up on what is associated with that time period. And that's probably why the willow was coming through. So let's talk a little bit about some other pieces of this symbol and why I think it came through for you today. First of all, you can bend without breaking. We hear it used so often in songs and in poetry, and for a reason. I remember that, again, during crazy storms, you would see that tree swaying back and forth. It's kind of like palm trees in LA. You can see the flexibility of that. So trust in your ability to be both flexible and also persevere. The roots in particular on a willow I actually put this here, they're pretty aggressive and they're pretty persistent. So I want you to trust in your ability to do something this month. And In fact, you might have a chance to see an idea take root or take hold, even if you've had challenges having that happen in the past. So this is your opportunity to really not just plant a seed, because with the root, it's much more firmer than that. It's a kind of like deciding, I'm going to set down, I'm going to lay a claim to something. And really dig in, just like Apollo is behind me. If you can hear him, he's just getting himself comfortable back there. But sometimes as human beings, we have to do the same thing. We have to put down some roots and decide, this is what I want to focus on. So there's a commonality between yesterday and today as I'm reading with the root sort of system. So grounding is going to be important, but I see more persistence in the willow than I did with the amaryllis. And I also see more permanence to that too. It's a tree, it's solid. So I feel like you're in a good space. This month, you also have the capacity to sway others or convince others with your charisma and communication skills. Lean into that energy of air and focus on getting sort of a bird's eye view of something, being able to see it from different perspectives, and be charismatic. Be a little bit more playful than some of the other air signs might be. So this is your chance to get out there and sort of help people see something from a different perspective. Flexibility, of course, is going to be really important. So you being flexible in maybe meeting someone halfway would also be ever so important. As I did some additional research this morning, in different cultures, they can also symbolize fertility and the divine feminine. And so in that case, I'm getting Empress energy, which I love, actually. If I had to choose between Empress and Emperor, I like Empress because not only is it strong and able to take charge, but it's also fertile. It's also able to bring nurturing and energy into something as well. So this is a time to breathe life, to give birth, to really sort of bring things to the next level. And doing also that sort of, I think it's a 2-in-1 sort of thing where you commit to it, you believe it, you really embrace it, just like a mother would, just like the Empress would. The creative energy is definitely something that I was feeling as I was tuning in, not only to this symbol, but also your sign this month. So taking creative control or direction, even if that means saying, I want to do this or I don't want to do that, it doesn't mean that you're going to be like an art director. You can be in finance, you can just be the head of your household, and you're trying to bring people into some sort of a order this month. People will be looking to you for a decision, for some sort of advice. And so be willing to step into that, because I think that great growth could come from that. Because they're so close to water, willow trees, I also get that sort of rush of energy that you would associate. The one that I saw as a kid, it was by the stream, but I associate that with intuition, with ideas, with also things starting to move. We've had a very stagnant 2020, and 2021 is when things start to break through. But a lot of times the breakthrough is a little messy at the beginning. It's kind of like, for those of us that are experiencing spring, especially if you're in in kind of like a colder climate, when you see the melt of all of from the mountains, all the snow starting to melt, or even in your yard, it's a little bit of a mess. It's muddy, you see things breaking up. And as you look at the rivers or streams starting to thaw out, it's a little messy at the beginning. So don't get disheartened if the initial flow of energy brings about some of that muck, because eventually it goes away and you have that beautiful, clear water, but you have to get rid of some of the junk, some of the old stuff from last year. And that's what spring is about, right? And we're right on the precipice of that in the Northern Hemisphere. Don't worry about it for Southern Hemisphere, because again, the fact that we're on the equinox where we're going to start to see the shift between two seasons, it's still transformative. You still have the energy of creation and release. So you can use it no matter where you're at. In fact, that's what I like about having an equal amount of light. And I talked about that in this month's newsletter. Use water as a force this month. You can use it to clear your body, so drink ample water. You can meditate by it. You can also, if you can't get outside or can't get to the beach because of regulations right now, which is understandable, you can just take a bath with Epsom salt, or you can get a salt scrub if you don't have a bath, and you can use that in the shower. But use the water as a cleansing agent, both literally and also symbolically. It's really great. You can imagine if you're in a shower, in fact, just that it's kind of like the sun shining down and all these sort of beads of water, like rays of light. So you can meditate in the shower just like you can in the bath. You can go outside and listen to water if you're close enough to it. Even the sound of the rain while we're kind of in the spring or fall months is also very cleansing and very great for kind of connecting to nature and getting out of your headspace a little bit. We talked about the roots. One thing is that it's kind of easy to propagate willows, certain varieties anyway, and they also send up little starts. So realize that if you can just get something started, it feels to me like it will start to take on a life of its own, right? I was also looking at some of the medicinal characteristics or uses of like willow. I guess they have salicylic acid and other things in their in the sap and everything. But one of the things that they're associated with are joint health, symbolically anyway. So I would say focus on joint health. And of course, when we go to flexibility in the body, I would say focus on stretching, gently moving, just trying not to be still. Whenever I looked outside, the willow was in our backyard. It never was still. Even on a regular day, it always seemed like something was moving in the tree, whether it was a bird moving it or a gentle wind. It was always moving. So my advice for you would just keep moving. Always move a step forward. Always move. Try to keep the momentum going this month, and I think that's key. Okay. The next thing was really bizarre. This came through in dreams last night, and it was as if your head was just going, it was much larger. It was kind of like it was elongated. And even you were surprised with this. So what I was looking at with this symbol was the ability to expand your ideas or your consciousness to literally kind of like brainstorm. You should be seeking others who have this open mind. So open your mind, seek others that have the big ideas, the big head, not a big ego. It was really about just consciousness expansion that I was getting with that. And your ideas may be out there, but that's exactly what I would say constitutes innovation and growth. Never do we get into a new place by being conservative with ideas. If we don't dream, if we don't imagine, if we don't question, if we don't risk what's possible, then we don't grow. So if there's someone in your life that's trying to compress your thoughts, make you think smaller, make you feel smaller, that is not the place to be. So whether that's a job, a place of study, like if you're at a college or university, or if it's a relationship and someone's trying to kind of like make you think smaller, don't. Think bigger and probably get out of that situation. That's a nice segue into the next piece, where sometimes when I meditate, I see a tarot card because I've been doing this for a while and Spirit knows that they can send me images like that. So the image that came through to me was the Judgment card. And Judgment is an interesting card because sometimes it's about the decision that we need to make or that we've made but we haven't accepted, or a decision that someone else has made and then we have to decide what to do about it. So the power in judgment is sometimes in the making of the decision, because let me see if I'm gonna jump ahead. I would say the most powerful moment in any sort of accomplishment is not necessarily accomplishing it, but when you decide you're gonna do it. So when you decide, for instance, you're going to get married, you're going to get divorced, you're going to go to school, you're going to change jobs, you're going to move. That moment, the decision, I am going to do this, that's when everything opens up to you. The decision every day to commit to doing it also is very powerful. So I would say the decisions are what make things happen in your life. If you can't decide, or if you're not committed to something, then it's just like you're a pinball kind of bouncing around, and maybe it's good and maybe it's not. I'm reminding you that you're not the pinball. You're the person that's basically moving those levers, and you're the operator. So don't let someone else push you around. You should be the one that's kind of moving everything, moving the levers, if you will. One of the ways that you can do this, and I'm going to go backwards to what I was talking about before, is I mentioned I am. In your mind, say I am ready. I'm capable, I'm able, kind of the same thing. I'm willing, I'm deserving. It's really important to get that last piece. I am deserving. I deserve what is coming to me because I've worked hard for it, because I've incorporated all the pieces of my life that I need to set myself up for success for this. I'm setting up a synchronicity by saying, I am ready, I am able, I am deserving of this opportunity. And then you can also put in what you want. It's like, I'm ready, willing, able to receive love, abundance, success, growth, happiness in the highest possible energetic form. That's what you can use as your daily mantra to bring about the change that you seek. So again, judgment reminds you that you can always control how you react and also how you want to proceed, even if You aren't the one that's making the decisions. You still get to choose what you want to do with that decision. Do I agree with it? And if I don't, then what am I going to do to possibly create or reshape something from this? You always have power, even if it's in the reaction to someone else's decision. You're never completely powerless. And in fact, you're much more powerful than you think, because judgment also is rebirth. So you usually see people coming up from the dead, showing that there is life after death, that there is a new start after one ending, that like transformation, like death itself, it's really like the door. It's just a gateway. So the gateway here is in your head, which is why I was seeing your head expand. Open your mind, push it further than you think you can until you look weird like an alien, because that's kind of what it looked like to me, was an alien for a second. And I was like, no, it's not. It's just a symbol. So there you go. Okay. The next piece is a lot more practical that I was receiving as I was doing automatic writing, and it had to do with honesty. And one of the most interesting things in like some of the tricky cards in swords, particularly the 7 and the 5 of swords, is that sometimes it's a battle within. It's about being honest with yourself, and it's about picking the battle that you want to fight in your life, and not kind of fighting what you know is right. Like sometimes you know you need to do something, but you have to kind of muster up that energy like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay. So I would say choose what it is that you want to fight for, and then be really honest with yourself about what's necessary to make this happen. The 7 of swords can be the lie that we tell ourselves. And this honesty card is just about realizing limits, realizing the lengths to which you would go to make something happen, etc., and not saying yes to everyone or everything, because it's stronger and more fair, and also just better in general to say, there's not enough time for this, or we can do this, but we need to limit this, this, and this, or I don't want it. That doesn't resonate with me. Ask someone else, because then you are letting someone else step into that opportunity that hopefully they're ready to kind of embrace. And limits are good. So be direct and honest with yourself. Set limits, set boundaries, observe them, and likewise, please observe others. If they've said that they don't want to do something, don't force them. If a change is needed, make it. You're that voice of reason. Ultimately, the decision does sit with you, which is why I saw judgment here. And your courage will inspire others if you're willing to kind of take a stand or make a change or step into that opportunity or create a boundary, any or all of the above. So listen, Gemini, you've got some great movement happening for you. The willow tree especially is showing me a flexibility, a charismatic sort of energy that will help carry you through things. And also this ability to take root, which I really, really am looking forward to seeing how it works for you. So between that and the energy of kind of calling things in through saying and believing that I am ready, I am willing, I am capable, and then specifying what it is, you can start to manifest. So a lot of 2 of Wands energy. So we have like the flexibility and the Empress energy here, the 2 of Wands energy. As I'm looking here with the decisive energy, I would say you have both judgment and justice, because when you really set it all in motion, then the universe starts to react to that. So yeah, I can't wait to see how this pans out for you. So at this point, I'm going to stack up all of these index cards. If you just joined, or if you want to see one of these again, stick around until the middle, because at that point, I will do a mini review where I kind of relate these to the cards that we just saw. And I also review everything. So you can always join at the middle part and you'll still be able to get everything. Quick note for programming that I'm starting to do every month a collective reading. So this month it's going to be on the 28th. Everybody's welcome. You can look at last month's for an idea of what to expect. I've been doing this for a couple of months and I really like bringing us all together for at least one. And sometime this month I will also do a fireside chat on my Instagram too. So feel free to follow me there. All right, let's get into the reading. And at this point, I'm going to remain quiet, but I will rejoin you after I lay out all the cards. So thank you for being patient. Welcome again to everybody. All right, everybody, thank you for giving me a moment to set things up here. We have in your catalyst a message about delicacy here and being careful. So let me just talk a little bit about how the catalyst works, and then I'll read this card. Basically, the catalyst helps keep you in the highest possible energy of the month, helping you avoid any potential pitfalls, and yeah, really kind of is like your compass, if you will. The message was reversed, but let me just read it here. It says, delicate fleeting beauty. When life is not coming up roses, look to the weeds and find the beauty hidden within them. And so we have this Venice mallow here. What I would say with the idea of weeds and wildflowers is that everything that we've kind of cultivated and made into some sort of plant, whether it's a house plant or something that we see in our garden, it was all wild. Everything's a wildflower. Everything was a weed. And if we start to judge things because of a lack of refinement or commonality, or because it looks different, then we're misjudging things. And to me, I kind of see like diamond in the rough energy with this. So I don't know about you, but I love going out, like when I'm taking my dog for a walk. I mentioned clover before, looking at like the wildflowers are beautiful. Here in California, sometimes you'll see poppies, the really delicate yellow kinds, not the large ones, but there's actually a California poppy. It'll just grow by basically in the rocks and the kind of grungy areas of the street, usually where the soil is poor. That is beautiful. It's a gorgeous flower. It's actually harder to grow in your garden because it likes poor soil, and you have to just do it by seed. So sometimes wildflowers, sometimes the things that aren't necessarily confined or sort of like working within the lines, like the hierarchy, it's a lot more fun. So maybe you're a wildflower this month, and it's important for you to kind of embrace the natural element of that and not necessarily try to prune it back or find a way to make it fit. When you don't fit, sometimes you do, and sometimes you can attract people to what you're trying to do. So when I think of people that I remember, they're the rebels, they're the geeks, they're the poets, they're the people that kind of stand out. So embrace it. If you feel good about it, other people will feel good about it. If you don't, then they're not going to resonate. But I like the kind of wild or unruly energy that I got with this, and that's important. And the fact that I see sort of like delicate and fleeting in the caption down there tells me too that sometimes that balance between conforming and being the wildflower, it's a delicate balance, but you'll find it. And you don't want to lose that part of yourself that is truly authentic just to try to fit in, just to try to conform, because it's overrated, right? At the end of the day. All right, let's take a look here at your center card. We have the page of arrows here, and arrows are swords in this particular deck. And I love the little tiny wren here, the little tiny bird at the center. Pages are beginnings, and one of the things that you might be doing is playing that sort of messenger this month between two people. And that's tricky, isn't it? When you are the go-between. Maybe you're in an administrative role, like an admin assistant, or maybe you are an intern, or maybe you are the mediator in your family. You could be even older and kind of being in a role where you're trying to keep the peace. So the important thing here is to also remember that you have a lot to offer, and you're not just that middle person. You can also bring information to those two people and advice. So don't underestimate yourself is what I'm seeing with this page, and maybe be more than just the speaker. My undergraduate degree was journalism. I had a minor in English, and I did a specialization with public relations. Ultimately, I decided PR was not interesting for me because all I was doing was I was going to be spinning other people's problems or good news. And I thought, no, I don't want to just be spinning information. I want to be reporting, or I want to be connecting, and it had to be more real for me. So when I look at the page, there is that sort of reminder that you be real, say what you need to say. And at some point, if you are stuck between two friends, two family members, an ex and a current partner, and you're trying to make sure, maybe because you share children or family, that you have to get along, at some point just say, you two need to work it out. I am not going to get in the middle of this, right? So you don't have to be the messenger unless you want to. In a completely different realm, I love that there's a page at the center for those of you that might be writers or might be ready to bring something to the masses. This is about you getting the word out, okay? So you're your own best messenger. And especially for those of you that are writers now, you know that the publishing companies don't really do anything for you. So this is you doing what you need to do to promote and to spread the word. Okay. We have crossing this, the King of Wands, and probably one of my, like, King and Queen of Wands are super powerful when it comes to business. So don't let this, all of these snakes scare you. This deck is very animal centric. So this is a power symbol for me. When I see all of these snakes, I see, wow, there's a lot of movement, a lot of power, a lot of opportunity. You are able to hold your own in this sort of den of snakes, if you will. So for those of us that have worked in, you know, a school, maybe a religious organization or a corporation, sometimes it feels like this, right? You're tiptoeing around big egos, but you are just as deserving as the other people to have a seat at the table, which is what I see with this. And you're going to find a way in and out. You can move through this. This is just as flexible as the Willow. So sometimes Queen or King of Wands can be rigid, but this is a very flexible King of Wands. You can put your mind to anything that you like. If you set your mind to it, you can do anything that you set your mind to, is what I was trying to say. So decide what it is that you stand for, decide what it is that you want to do, and by all means do it. And by the way, you can do it yourself. This is the ultimate boss card. Queen is a great boss card, but the King is definitely someone who can do it all if they choose to, you know. So I'm excited to see if that's something that you want to do, because we have strong communications, but even stronger ideation or management, or just showing it. Like, I feel like some of you, even though I think this is true of Gemini in general, you have the ability to communicate well, but sometimes you can just do it. You can just show it. You can just sort of like, it's easier to just physically show what it is than try to talk around it forever and ever. Might be easier for Libra to do that, but anyway, you have the capacity to walk the line. And I definitely think that how you emote, how you use your body language, and what you do, how, you know, basically walking the walk is going to be equally as important. We have the Nine of Swords here in the deep past. I actually love that this is more of a cleanup card than, oh my gosh, I'm worried about things. A lot of times with the Nine of Swords, you see someone at night, they're worried. I feel like she's actually deciding, what have I learned and what do I want to do with this? And how can I take charge of something that might be intimidating or scary? So I feel like this is the strongest Nine of Swords that I've seen in any of my tarot decks, because she's also deciding possibly just to walk away from some of this and take the one thing that matters and point that bow and arrow in the right direction. Okay, so make peace with what has happened. Focus on what you can control. And just like I was getting with judgment in the meditation earlier, I would say if you can just decide what your reaction will be to that decision, rather than maybe thinking like, well, they didn't ask me, or this happened and I wish this had happened. Okay, all of that is done. Focus now on what you're going to do, because that part you actually can control. And this is a very empowered Nine of Swords. So I would say focus on forward momentum. And like I said with the Willow, moving a little bit every day. I would like you to always take care of sleep and rest when we see Nine of Swords. So if you're not sleeping well, of course, it's always good to look at the environment in which you're sleeping. So make sure the bed, the bedroom, the lighting, and also like what time of day or night you're waking up and going to sleep, trying to put some consistency to that. And then if you still have problems, maybe talk to a doctor. It could be something like sleep apnea or snoring or whatever that could be interrupting it. All right, we have the Page of Wands here. The card is reversed. So for this one, this is in the recent past. I would say don't overthink. We have a really great idea. We have a lot of movement with it. Then we have a little bit of a hiccup here. Anything that's successful will oftentimes be met with a challenge, maybe because it is going against the conventional wisdom, maybe because someone wants to just see if you believe yourself, especially if you're on an interview, or if it's a first date, or if you're just trying to get someone interested in something. It's good for them to be curious and say, well, what made you think about that? Or why do you believe in this? They want to be convinced. So convince yourself first, then you'll be able to convince them, because then it's just going to flow out authentically. It won't be like you're reading from note cards and having to, you should be able to speak from the heart. So for this one, just let it come through. A lot of like what we're doing here, just let it be an exchange. Say, I can't imagine any other way. This is exactly why, and then X, Y, Z, and you can just go through it. keep an open mind. If they have some feedback on how you can change or improve wherever this might be in your life, the feedback is good, but you don't have to take it. You can take it or leave it, but you should always listen to the feedback and see if it's a consistent thread with what others are saying. So be open, don't be defensive, be enthusiastic, and realize that questions sometimes are just to see where you stand. And if you are able to continue to be passionate about it, you've got someone that's interested in what you have to sell or what you have to offer. I mentioned Five of Swords, and it did appear in the crowning position. The Five of Swords can sometimes be a battle that's not worth fighting. It can be dealing with someone that's tricky. In this one, it's really about kind of like dodging a bullet, right? We see this, what is he, a goat, kind of like flying through the air, and he is doing a good job with missing all those arrows. So for you, I feel like you can dodge a bullet this month, and the bullet could be someone trying to get you involved in an argument, trying to get you to say something that you shouldn't say, trying to make you go back on something that you committed to. And so all you have to do is stand up for what matters and say, no, this is where I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do that. You're not going to trigger me on this. Or you could even just say, that doesn't work with me. Go try it with someone else. This is not worth it. The caption on this actually reads frustration. So there could just be someone in your life with whom communication constantly feels like it's an uphill battle, right? So if you have that, this is your time to stay dedicated. I love that this is such an unusual Nine of Swords. She is going to stay dedicated. Part of that might be that she loves something enough that she's going to pick up the pieces and clean up the mess, even if it's not her job. So you're going to be able to pull things back together, and you're not going to let someone misdirect you, right? So there we go. We have the Eight of Swords here, which for me is it's so interesting because it's usually about opening up and seeing something. We actually have a little bit of hermit type illustration here. So I feel like for some of you, there is a fear of what might be illuminated if you look around you. Typically, you would see a blindfold with that card. So in this one, we just see someone kind of pulling within because of that. And then there's a lot of things around her that she's not paying attention to. So I would say it's really important for you to live in this energy of understanding, of illumination, no fear. Let's let that go. It's better to know what you're dealing with than to fear what might be possible. So for some of you, this could be like going to a doctor appointment and just, you might get some good news, but you won't know unless you go. And maybe there's something you have to deal with, but if you let it go, then it could get worse. And so this is basically about knowledge being power, and then you being back in that driver's seat, because going back into the image of the willow, you're really supposed to be able to bend and move with whatever comes your way. You'll be able to handle whatever it is. And maybe it's amazing, and you can try to call that into fruition. You can manifest that. So open your eyes, shine your light. Don't be afraid to see what's around you. It's really the antithesis of what's illustrated here. So come out of that sort of hermit shell and see what's around you. Now we have the Knight of Arrows and the Knight of Swords here. The Hawk now, a much more stronger and firmer kind of communication energy. And this is in your ego, which is showing me that you have the capacity to do it. That's why I'm curious why you might be playing a role that is perhaps junior to what your ability is. So some of you might have been cast in a job where they're just not taking all of your skills into consideration. I talked a little bit to the previous sign about this as well, but for you, it's coming through in communication skills and I would even say in management skills, because I see that king and I see this knight, but the page is at the center. So speak up. I know it's hard. I totally remember when I was a little bit shyer and less confident when I was in corporate jobs or just coming out of college or whatever. So what I'm seeing here is the ability to go really far and to see things. Keen insight is what I see when I look at a hawk. So your vision is super important, which is why we talked earlier about taking creative control. Speak up, share your ideas. And if you're shut down, this is a time to push back on that shutdown or find a place where you can be heard, where you can be appreciated, because that is not something in which you can thrive or grow, right? If you are creative, this is about putting pen to paper somehow, capturing your ideas, whether it's through teaching, through writing, through illustrating, through public speaking, somehow sharing the word. With so many swords cards coming through for you, I think it's important. You have a lot of ideation between the wands and the swords. So great ideas, great communication, a couple of edits, a couple of ways of kind of smoothing it out, and I see something really good for you. When I look at love in a second, this can be a kind of messy month when it comes to love because there's a lot of people. So we're going to have to sort out who's who, and I'll do that when I get to the expanded forecast in a couple moments here. Let's focus now on the environment. So we have the High Priestess here. She's the seer in this particular deck. But I really love the shamanistic energy that's a part of this. So I also like the fact that it's called the seer because a lot of what's possible in our life, we have to see it with the third eye. We have to believe it in our heart. We have to breathe life into it for it to happen. So seeing is creation, is believing, but you don't have to sort of like see it come into, you have to see it before you be it. There you go. There's the bumper sticker. If you can't see it, then it's not going to happen. That part I can guarantee. And if you see it, it should happen. You just have to sort of continue to walk the walk, which is why we have all these higher energy wands cards coming through. So see it, breathe life into it, and be it. And I believe that some great things are possible. Don't discount what is coming through in spirit. When I see High Priestess reversed or the seer reversed, it's telling me that it's exactly what we see here. For some reason, there's something coming through and it's sort of like, la, 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 la. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. And I think that it's super important for you to be able to kind of go into the energy of something that makes you afraid or nervous and think, well, what can I do about this? All right, I didn't expect to find this out. I didn't necessarily want to know this. But now that I know it, can I do something? And if I can't do something, what can I do in my own life to make sure that I don't repeat that mistake or I don't sort of fall into that category? So I think there's an educational opportunity here by looking at something that maybe you didn't want to know about someone, maybe even about yourself, and you use that to grow and thrive from. Ultimately, manifestation is a part of this. All that's missing from this equation is the Two of Wands. So the reason she's reversed is because we need to know where we're going so that she can be empowered to put that magic into it, right? Okay. We have the Nine of Cups, which has been showing up a lot this month. So for many of you, I just want you to take time to celebrate the little victories, to choose joy and happiness when that opportunity comes through, to really try to walk the line of moderation, not going too high or too low, because Nine of Cups can be that. But this is a very Zen Nine of Cups. It's almost as if this sage here is surrendering to the divine love, which would feel very Nine of Cups like. If you've ever been in the presence of a healing agent on the other side, an angel, an ascended master, even like the violet flame energy, there's this beautiful wash that goes, kind of energetic wash of a rush that goes through you. It's warm, it's loving, it's necessary to kind of surrender to that. So let yourself feel love and loved. And this is a very sort of receptive card. I don't always talk about the receptivity of cups, but in order to get to that level, and in order to kind of advance spiritually, one of the things that you have to do is to surrender to the guidance, to the message, to the energy that wants to come through you and not be afraid. So is there anything in your life? Where's the fear? Is it the fear of how far you might expand, what you might see, what you might experience? Is it the fear of what others might think of you, since I was seeing the head grow so big? Is it a fear that you may or may not live up to your expectations? Whatever the fear is, dismiss it, and then just surrender to the download that wants to come through. Set a parameter. Of course, whenever you're working with spiritual energy, you want to say that you want to connect with the highest energy in the universe of love, light, compassion, and the divine of God. And then say, once you've set that boundary, if you receive something, it's only going to be a blessing. It's only going to be something that's clarifying. So surrender to, open up to, and allow that flow of knowledge and energy to come through you. Some really great things can happen. This, to me, is also someone who's capable of healing. So some of you might be opening up to energy work. We're missing the magician, but the fact that we see the High Priestess tells me you already have that energy. So for some of you, you might just be holding back from letting something flow through you, whether it's a creative project, healing, or something that you're supposed to do, your life purpose. So we'll look at that maybe when we go in the soul path a little bit. Let me write it down so I remember, because sometimes I'm going through a lot of things. So I'm going to just ask life purpose, and we'll go a little deeper into that when we go into the soul path. And maybe I can give you some insight into that. All right, let's look at the next piece here. So your destiny card, not your destiny, your outcome card here is the Ten of Pentacles. The card is reversed. Of course, the Ten of Pentacles can indicate house and home, as we see here, but it can also be really great when it comes to finances and resources. So some of you might be ready to step up or step through something, but this could involve an unexpected turn, coming from a different direction than you expect. So you may have to move. You might be looking at selling a place. You might be offered an opportunity, some sort of a transfer. And it could also be about deciding to reorganize. So whether it's your company, your house, or your life, there's something going on this month that's going to allow you to grow, but it involves change. And you have to look at it from a different angle, which is why we have the Ten of Pentacles reversed. It can also be a domestic partnership, like a contract, a marriage contract. I usually see love with Ten of Cups, but then like the actual signing of the papers with the Ten of Pentacles. So this could be just a decision. You're trying to weigh it out. Should we go that next step? So we'll look at that again in a second when I get into relationships. Let's start first in the expanded forecast with health. We have hope, love, and acceptance. The card is reversed, so it's really reminding you to stay hopeful, to be mindful of what's possible. And the caption beneath it says, love is yours, recognize your divine worth, choose loving thoughts. Right back to the alchemy of thinking, of thoughts. We sometimes underestimate how powerful and important it is to stay in the highest possible thought wave, if you will. So this is really focusing on your power to create, to love, to accept, to feel like the receptivity that we see with the Nine of Vessels is, I welcome that which I've created, that which I've earned. Bring it on, universe. This is what I've been waiting for. Until you are ready, that can't really happen for you. Some of you may be feeling a lack of hope right now, a sense of isolation, a yearning for love, a lack of acceptance from those around you. Today, the universe is coming through, especially divine energy, saying, it loves you, it has hope for you, it accepts you exactly as you are. And I do believe the divine energy is more of an it. It is not male or female, it's both, and it's beyond those two sort of binary genders. So that's why I use it when I talk about God, because it's bigger than what we imagine it to be. So you're part of that. Everything on this planet, from you to me, to my dog, to the ants outside, to all of that, it's all part of that creative energy. So if you're part of this, then you're already loved. You already have the capacity for magic. You have to feel that though. So even if, especially if your mom, your dad, your boss, your friend, your lover doesn't accept you, okay, then you don't accept them either. What they're coming through to kind of reflect back is that you can love yourself more, that you didn't need them, that's not the right match, that you're ready to energetically shift from that. Love yourself enough to leave that if you're in a place where you're not receiving it. Focus on building up the foundation of the self-love. Then you're going to find other people who already accept and love themselves, and they look at you and they're not playing out your insecurities either. So a lot of times I will see in the chat here, when is my lover coming? Why am I not married? Why can't I find a guy? Why can't I find a girl, etc. Focus on loving yourself, accepting yourself, and building up that feeling of hope. And once you do that, you're not going to care about that so much. And then that's exactly when that person comes in, when you stop needing, wanting, caring, and obsessing about it. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, that I will touch upon love in my readings, but wouldn't it be boring for me to talk for an hour and 30 minutes about your person? Especially if you didn't have a person in your life or if everything's going well. So much more interesting to talk about all of the aspects of your life and the foundation on which you're building all of this and that your person will be in. I hope that eventually starts to get more popular than your person on horoscope readings and tarot readings, because you are your person and you're attracting reflections of who you are and what you are. So that, to answer a question that hasn't been answered, is one of the reasons that I don't sit here for 90 minutes and talk about your person. It's you. You're showing up here today. Let's talk about you. Let's help you attract the right kind of energy in your life. But by the time you attract it, you don't need it. And that's hopefully what you're starting to grow and realize as we do this. Now we're going to talk about relationships. All right. Tread thoughtfully, narrow pathway. All right. So for some of you, there's a tentative sort of energy between you and someone in your life. And this may be the moment, the defining moment, as I said, where you're going to decide we're going to go for it. But there could be a lot at stake. For some of you, you could be going the distance. This person that's in your life, it could be, again, a friend or family member, or it could be a loved one. Committing to or connecting to that person could mean a big sacrifice. I think you'd have to be under a rock to not be hearing all the stuff that's going on, like with the royals and everything. And you think about sacrifice, and you have to sort of go into this with an open mind. And so when I look at this, tread carefully. I see doing your homework. I see making sure that you understand who you are, that they see who you are, that you know who you are. And then also, you can do it. That's a narrow path, but you can do whatever you set your mind to. So what's at stake? What are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? And is it enough? Are you able to grow? Because when I see the narrow piece on this, remember I was talking about the head that needed to expand. It's a metaphor, not like your head's going to grow. But I feel like whomever you're spending your time with, your key relationship in your life, they have to have that open mind. And so does the relations associated with them. Or you're going to have to figure out, if their family is closed-minded, how you're going to deal with that, because that's not going to go away. Let's look at all the people that showed up here, and let's look at the positions to kind of like frame this up. This is you. So you are really, because I look at this as your soul space, you're the Knight of Arrows, and that makes a lot of sense. Knight of Swords, Gemini. Okay. So as I see this, the message on this was the hawk. A hawk is very keen at insight. It can see through things. So this month in your relationships, you're able to see things beyond face value. You can see them at soul value. So trust what you see, even if it's not what you want to see. That's why judgment was like the elephant in the room. It came through in my meditation. It hasn't showed up, but it's here in spirit. So trust what you feel and see. Don't discount it. We got a little bit of judgment with the judgment reverse, with the seer reverse or the high priestess reverse. So trust it even if you don't want to see it. It's coming through for a reason. The soul kind of connection here, I feel like the core relationship in your life, we're seeing a maturity gap. So for those of you in love, the relationship is manifesting itself here as Page of Swords and King of Wands. That is a big difference. This is someone who can be a little bossy. This is someone who has a lot to say, but doesn't always get a word in edgewise. So communication needs to open up between the two. This can be a person that just doesn't want to listen, doesn't want to hear, okay? So focus on communication and remembering that irrespective of age or experience or title, it doesn't matter. You two are equals sitting at this table. So I think that's the most important thing, is reciprocity and equality. If you see each other as equals, you can go through anything. And that's the big challenge for existing relationships. For those of you seeking relationships, we have here in the recent past a message or someone maybe from the past that you have to focus on. We have a Page of Wands reversed. So to me, this is someone who doesn't know how to say how they feel. So it could either be you or it could be the other person. And so this is about showing it if you can't say it, and then also not being afraid to say it. What's the worst that could happen? They could say no, and you would know that you could focus your energy on something else. Put yourself out there is what I see with this card, and just give it a go, basically. And I feel like the important thing, no matter what, because this is you, is to be able to have a common ground when it comes to communication this month. So for new relationships that could be coming through, if you are not able to communicate smoothly, because the Five of Swords is not a smooth communication card, the Eight of Swords is ignoring what's going on, then this is a big red flag. So if you're looking for love and you meet someone new and it's difficult to talk to them, but you have a great chemistry physically, then you've got to bridge the gap with the communication stuff. It's not impossible, but it just takes some work. Both of you have to open up a little bit. And it could just be fear and a little bit of surrender to what you need to look at, but I feel like it's possible. Don't jump into a commitment this month. The card's reversed, it's a pause. This is like not necessarily a full stop. When I see sometimes reversals, they can be a semicolon, a pause and a decision, and how are we gonna do something next? So many of you might be like sort of not just relationship minded, but looking at starting a family, getting married, buying a house, all of those practical things, which everyday people want, a lot of them anyway. But I'm saying don't rush into it just because this is the only person that's showed up. Really be discerning in who's coming in. So for those that are looking for love, I think this month you have to keep your eyes open and keep your communication flowing. And if it doesn't work, that's your litmus test, okay? And the energy that came through is a little stubborn or a little lacking communication skills. So I think you need someone that's more playful or more communicative. So work on that with that partner or open up to something new. because it feels like something better could come through. Definitely something with more water and more openness and playfulness, okay? So that's the sort of message. If you're retired, the message this month for you would be to never limit yourself in what's possible. If you're at a different point in your life where you're not looking for love, you're not looking for work, what I'm seeing here is to go within. There's a personal development that wants to happen. Maybe you're going to decide to go more into art or into spirituality or to psychic energy or whatever, but there's creativity. So I would say develop that part of yourself because it's you that's coming through strongest. Use writing and journaling as a part of it. I don't love writing stuff down, but I love writing, but like the physical act of writing can be, in the morning, my hand hurts sometimes, but it works. So even just writing little things like this to start the day can help you out. So I do it because it works. All right. Those are the messages for love and relationships. Also, remember what we saw here, that you're a wildflower, or maybe the one that you love is a wildflower, so it's not going to conform, non-conformist energy. Celebrate the beauty in the wildflowers and realize there are no weeds. There are just flowers that are growing in different places. I talked about my grandfather before, dandelions. When I was a kid, he was from Italy, so I guess when he grew up, his family knew this before it was a big thing. So this would have been like in the 80s that he was doing this. He would go out in the lawn and he would cut the dandelions before we would go and weed them out. He's like, no, we'll make a salad from that. And I used to think, you're going to poison us. It has that sap and everything. But years later, I realized he was way ahead of the curve. And dandelion greens obviously are very healthy for you. And I ate it and it tasted good. And I was curious at how he knew it. There are no weeds, just misunderstood flowers out there. So I love orchids and I love like holiday cactus, and basically they're epiphytic. They hang on trees, and you could consider them weeds because they're kind of like not in the ground and not growing on their own, but they're beautiful flowers. So see things beyond the sort of categories that you normally would. Something wild or unconventional can be beautiful. That could be you, that could be your partner. Okay. Let's look next at, I switched health and wealth. I'm sorry, I did health, wealth. I should have done wealth, I did love. So we're gonna use this one for wealth. So we have seed of the heart. And we'll look at both of these. I've done this before, and when that happens, it's usually for a reason. But we'll start it with wealth initially here. So we have seed of the heart. So I would say with this, you really want to focus on planting a seed this month. And with the high priestess here, that's really, really, really important for you to honor what you believe in and basically breathe life into it every single day. TLC, I was talking yesterday about the amaryllis. All it needed to do was to be planted and growth would happen. For you, the seed to me is an ace of pentacles. So what is the seed that you want to plant? What is the idea that you want to create? Where is it that you want to grow next? Put that out there and every single day work on that and start to invest in it. Because there's overlap between the two, I'm going to give you a joint reading here. Some of you may find that there is a love relationship at work or at school. You've met someone and it's unconventional or even undesirable or inconvenient. If that's how it's going to happen, that's how it's going to happen. Sometimes when we're not looking for it, it comes through anyway. So if you meet someone at work, the narrow pathway is also about that path that you have to walk between what your obligations are and the feelings that you have. So you're going to have to figure out how to navigate that. And in a love relationship, the seed of the heart there's a couple things here. First of all, I'm looking at planting the seed of love between the two of you, this idea that there could be something more. You have to believe in that as well, or nothing can grow. Some of you might also be looking at starting a family. So I see a little bit of both here, but the practical elements of how is this going to affect my work plays into this because the two are kind of intermixed in my reading today. So some of you have a messy situation where work and love are overlapping, or your family and the development of your family is maybe at odds with where you're at professionally. And so finding the balance between the two, everything is kind of tied together with this tread thoughtfully, okay? So I just got a question, is this only Gemini? Yes and no. So the beginning portion, channeled messages, and really everything that I do, if you showed up in the room, you're probably receiving messages. I'm an intuitive, so everyone that shows up, everyone that tunes in is going to receive a message. So stick around, and if it resonates, great. I've specifically showed up today for Gemini and everyone else that came through, okay? And it's good for me to reiterate that sometimes. This is also for sun, rising, and moon. Look at the placements in your chart. You can look at it at different sort of, this could also be for Venus. If you're very well versed in what your chart will be, it may resonate with that. Let's move along to destiny. We have heart guardian here. Love and let yourself be loved. Amen to that. And I love that we're getting so many roses this month. I almost put down rose because I was thinking about it yesterday, but I realized we talked about it a lot. So it came through anyway. And the key thing with a rose is that you have to take care of it. You have to nurture it. And also that, you know, there's good and there's not so good elements with it. You have to take the thorns with the blossoms. So with this, love yourself, thorns and all, is what I see with it. This is really about self-acceptance. You're just like that rose. You're beautiful. You're complicated. There's parts of yourself that are growing. There's parts that need to be kind of pruned away. But ultimately, we have this sort of sacred heart at the center symbol here, which is saying that when you love yourself, for all of that, others will love you too. And also that's closer to how God and the divine sees you. It doesn't judge, not like that. We judge. Sorry, at the end of our life, we are the ones that see our life. We feel it through the lens of the other people that we touched, and we judge ourselves. It's not God. We are all divine energies here. So we kind of go up, we do a life review, we look at things, we judge what we want to do and how far we've progressed. God is looking at us saying, okay, whatever you need, I'm going to set it up for you. We're going to go on to the next thing. So don't be so harsh on yourself, but be honest with yourself for sure. Just don't sit there and focus on it. So as I'm talking, I'm getting triggered here in the solar plexus. So for some of you, the maternal energy that I picked up on could be part of this, mom or dad, especially, you know, some of us have two moms or two dads, or we were adopted, but the main parent that would come through is maternal. I'm getting a tug of war with this. So there could be a little bit of healing that could be done on feeling better about that maternal energy in your life. And also for you, if you're thinking, can I do it? Can I make this happen? Whether it's a family or creating something that you love, the answer is yes. You just have to believe in it and focus on that empowerment. So focus on the solar plexus. It was a gentle energy. It wasn't right around the umbilical cord. It was actually halfway through the heart and the belly button. So it was right here. And I was just feeling a little bit of a tug, a little bit of a pain there. So focus on loving yourself and feeling like you're strong enough to make something happen, because it was between the heart and the solar plexus. Okay. Let's move along to the review here. And if you just joined, or if you want to get a clearer, conciser view of everything, this is what you showed up for, because I try to summarize it all in like 5 minutes or 7 minutes. So you'll get all of it together right now, and we'll bring it into focus. All right, so here's what we've talked about, and here's some new insights on it. Your spirit totem today was the willow tree, and I love willows because of their strength and flexibility. Also, we talked about like the perseverance. They can live in areas that other trees wouldn't. It's usually kind of marshy and wet wherever they are, and the roots are very, very, very strong. You have the capacity to sway others, because I was thinking of their ability to bend back and forth with your charisma, with your communication skills. So lean into that. Divine feminine energy is definitely a part of this particular totem. So use the Empress energy, which I was feeling here in my solar plexus, the ability to really own that you can do this, that you can create something. This is your time to take creative control and really set the stage and sit in the driver's seat, whatever kind of metaphor you want to use. But I just want to see you really embracing and embarking upon whatever it is that you want to do next. The fluidity of the sort of water, the lakes, the streams that the willows usually live by also was a reminder that water is going to play an important role. Use it in your meditation, of course, in hydration and drinking and diet. And then you can also take an Epsom salt bath to clear out any sort of attachments that you might feel. You could rub your belly a little bit as you're taking that bath and really imagine that you're putting love and light into that space and massaging out any of those old scars or old wounds. The perseverance is so important. This is the time where an idea can actually take root, even if you had some challenges. It's been a rough year prior. We just got through a retrograde, but this is a good time to sort of regroup. Focus on joint health and flexibility overall. Stretching and gentle movement are the most important. You don't have to run a marathon. Just taking a walk and stretching a little before and after can have a great effect. Open up your mind and seek others who are capable of doing the same. No small ideas, no small thinking. Even if you're out there, that's a good thing, because when you think of innovators in our society, they always were the rebel types, you know, like you have to think bigger to make growth and innovation happen. Judgment came through in meditation, not so much in cards, but it came through to remind all of us that you always have some sort of a choice. Even if the decision has been made, your reaction is still something that you can control. And if you have to accept a decision that maybe you've made on a soul level but haven't quite come to peace with, this message is saying it's time to surrender to that, which we saw with this card. Use your thoughts as a creative and alchemic energy to bring something into life. And the most powerful moment necessarily isn't when you're going to get the award so much as when you decide you're going to do something, because the decision is that commitment. It's the soul contract. You can say a simple mantra like, I am ready, I'm capable, I'm willing, I'm deserving of something in my life. And that something could be love, abundance, success, growth, happiness. It is a divine right to be happy. So really meditate on that. And be honest with yourself, be honest with others. Don't say yes to everything. It's good to say no. It makes you stronger. Don't say no to everything either, but like just kind of pick and choose. If it feels right, do it. And if it doesn't, don't. That's really what being a grown-up is. Be direct and be honest with others, set firm boundaries, and also accept the boundaries that they lay down. Otherwise, they're not going to listen to you. If a change is needed, you might have to be that voice that speaks up, be the voice of reason. The decision sits with you. Speaking of being a grown-up, that's the scary part. You ultimately can't ask someone else what to do. You have to kind of feel it out on your own. But guess what? People are looking up to you, even if you sometimes might wonder, is what I'm doing right? Is it resonating? Yes. You're a wildflower. That's the main thing that I see with this one. It's a delicate sort of journey sometimes, protecting who you are and not letting other people try to push you into a box. That's why this card was reversed. Keep that delicate balance between who you are and what success is. It's going to be okay, right? We have great cards here at the center. We have a lot of communication cards here, but the one thing that I want to highlight, since we have the camera down for a second, is this is you, the hawk, the Knight of Swords. This is how some people are perceiving you right now, which is the Page of Arrows or the Page of Swords. So I see Knight energy, but for some reason you're in the Page zone. So it's important for you to maybe push through to this growth stage or state. And if you can't, you might have to do it on your own or find another way out of it. I also see egos here with the King of Wands here. We're looking at a lot of kings in this particular spread here. You might have to take the high road. You might have to find your way out of a sticky situation. You might have to realize that not everybody can win. There's going to have to be some sort of a trade-off here. So understanding when, how, and if you're going to exert power and what you want to fight for is going to be super important. But guess what? You've got it. King of Wands shows me you've got it. We have Nine of Swords here, which is really more about picking up the pieces and focusing on what matters. Determination, was it? No, dedication. Dedication is what this card actually says. A very atypical Nine of Swords, but I like it. We have, again, Page of Wands reverse, keep an open mind. And if you're around people that don't have an open mind, this is about trying to help them see it from another perspective. Fight the fights that are worth fighting, but don't just fight. And don't feel like you have to speak up about everything. Sometimes knowing that you're right and just letting people discover it on their own, it's all you need to do. That was also a pearl of wisdom from my grandfather that enjoyed the dandelions. He was like, sometimes when I get older, knowing that I was right is enough. I don't have to prove it anymore. He was in his 60s when he told me that, and it was great advice. Eight of Swords. It's time to just open up and see what's going on. Your higher self is coming through with a really clear vision. Don't be afraid. Release fear, surrender to the intuition and the advice that you're receiving, and take action. And ultimately, I see lots of opportunities on the horizon. Don't step through the first door that opens just because it's the only one. Keep looking, make sure that it's the right path for you, whether that's a relationship, a job, or whatever. There's a lot of opportunities in front of you. It doesn't have to be just this first one. It has to feel right. There may be maybe a relocation that's involved with this, but you'll have to feel that out to see if it feels right for you. I feel like the timing has to sit well with you right now. And I think that there's some internal growth that has to happen before you make that move. We have love, acceptance, and hope as a part of health. Love yourself, know yourself, stay in that energy. If anyone in your life makes you feel less than these things, it's time to move away from that. We have joint messages in wealth and love this month, so we're going to read them in tandem. So we're going to look at health first, then we're going to look at, we're going to look at wealth first and then look at love. But For wealth, the two of these cards are saying, set your eyes on something, but focus on the path to get there, because it could be trickier than you think. You have to definitely not get distracted to be successful, but there is a path to success, even if people think it's impossible. It's not. With love, there might be an overlap between what you're doing at work and your love life. Literally, you might meet someone that you love at work, or work may be taking you away from that. There also might be a big sacrifice. You might have to give up too much or walk too far away from something. The joint goal in this relationship should be the common vision of who the two of you are and what you're trying to create together. Go back to the heart of the matter in love. When we looked at love specifically here, there was just a lot of people showing up, which also is telling me that you need to focus more on personal growth yourself. Communication was a common thread, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, and equality. You should be seen as an equal partner at that stage. We didn't get a lot of money cards. We did get a 10 of Pentacles here. So when it comes to decisions around money, it feels to me like you should be discerning. You should be picky. Finally, with the Destiny card, love and let yourself be loved. Such a beautiful card, such a great energy around surrender and acceptance, and really deciding that, again, thorns and all, it's worth it. You are someone that is lovable, is ready to love, ready to give and receive love. It's like the Ace of Cups in the upright position, overflowing, right? Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. I wrote down life purpose, so let's start with life purpose, and then I'll go into some of the other messages. All right, so going a little deeper into the soul, trying to help you align to your purpose, to your focal point right now in life. What is it that you should be paying attention to, or what's the message around this? So we have the Four of Cups. What a great card when it comes to self-love, because usually it's about missing something. It's a blessing in disguise. And for some of you, you could have just lost the thrill is gone. We see boredom here. And sometimes when we work really, really hard to get somewhere in our life, it's anticlimactic. And that's why I was saying the exciting part is the decision. Sometimes the receiving of something, whether it's an award or a certain pinnacle in your life, you're like, that wasn't as fun as climbing up the hill, was it? So instead of getting bored, take a moment to look around this vista that you're at right now. Look at where you've come from, what you've accomplished, what you haven't accomplished, and reset expectations. Also, a lot of times one of these, usually in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, you would see 3 cups in front of the person. They're kind of distraught, bored, or distracted. And there's a cup floating in the air from the universe saying, don't forget about this. Or have you thought about looking in this direction? There's something that you can tap into that you might be missing. For some of you, this is enough to keep you in a current situation because you rekindle the flame of interest in something. You just have to try a different approach. So, if you have the honor of having your own company, you could decide to streamline the business and do something a little bit different, or focus more on catering to one thing than the other. So it's about maybe letting go of something and focusing more on something else. In a relationship, it could be getting back to something that the two of you originally were hoping that you could accomplish together, and focus on that again, resetting expectations. It's also a warning that the grass is not always greener on the other side, that sometimes it's just a facade. It's just, so really sit down and appreciate. When I take Apollo for a walk, he likes to chew the grass because dogs enjoy, and just like cats, they like eating grass sometimes. But he sniffs, he eats the grass, he looks around, he sits down and sits in the sun, and he's like, we're not done with this walk and we're not moving for a while. I just want to sit here and sunbathe. What I love about Apollo is he slows me down and he makes me be present. And dogs are good at that, but you don't need a dog to do that. You could just take a walk today, and please don't eat the grass though. just walk a little bit, enjoy, sit down, breathe in, and take in that moment in time. And if you're stuck in the office today and you're just listening to me, I used to listen to readings sometimes when I had a corporate job. Take a lunch break, take a 15-minute break, and get outside, or just step out on the balcony or something and get into your own space for a little bit, right? And just reset. And that reset is going to give you what you need to get through the day and hopefully get you back on your path. You're missing something though. There's a hidden blessing with this life path. So I feel like you've come further than you realize. You're having more an effect on yourself and others than you realize. And there's more to kind of capture. So don't give up. Look at it from another angle. Turn things upside down and inside out, and you might see a new way. All right. Let's look now specifically. Okay, I want to look at the Eight of Swords and the High Priestess, the Seer card. What's the opportunity? What's the thing that's like eluding you that you're afraid to look at? What are you discounting? Why is fear entering into the equation? Okay, so we have Ace of Swords in reverse, which for some of you could indicate that you have a really high bar of excellence for yourself and for others. So there's a critical element here. I would say stay constructive with all criticism. So if there's something in your life that you felt you could have done better, maybe you're right, but now just figure out how to do it rather than focusing on the fact that you didn't do it or that you're not doing it. So decide today, I'm going to do it, I'm doing it, and this is how I'm going to do it. Put it into action, put a plan in place, and remember the heart guardian here, love yourself a little bit, and really open up to the fact that when you can get into that self-love, into the passionate energy, then things start to take off. Then the Ace of Swords becomes like the rocket that we see here, or the sword, or the arrow flying up into the air. And it says the breath of life. So for some of you, this is really about breathing new life into yourself, into something that you have just kind of let go. So it's never too late. That's what I'm seeing here. It's never too late to do something. Don't be afraid to look at what you can do to fix it or what you can do to change it around. And if there is something difficult in your life, don't be overly critical about it. A person that's messing up, if you've messed up or whatever, it's really, there's no such thing as messing up. You've called in lessons, learn from the lessons and release the lessons. And then that's a kinder way of looking at this, right? All right. Next message here will just be a wild card. And we have the 10 of Wands. There is a move on your horizon, or there's some sort of a shift. When we get the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles, both of them reversed, it's either like a commute or a move or reaching out beyond your borders. So, okay, we have the 10 of Wands here. You've done everything. It's in reverse, by the way, but I'm just looking at it upright because it's easier to see it that way. So you have a journey to take. There's a few things that you need to focus on. First of all, if you have too much responsibility, too much weight, too much on your shoulders, share the burden. You don't have to do this alone. You've worked to this point so that you can delegate, so that you can sort of kind of let go a little bit. I mentioned with Wands, it's the one suit that you can kind of let things go and they still work out. Not so much so with some of the other suits, but with Wands, you can go down to the 8 of Wands or the 6 of Wands or the 2 of Wands and it's still successful. So if you need to, or the Ace, you can let some things go. You're ready to get to that next phase of the journey. I would say push through, let someone carry some of this for you if you need some help. And then looking at where you're going, where are you going? Because I see 2 destinations here. So some of you might have a choice between 2 potential destinations. It could be a tricky one. And so for this one, you should weigh out what on a heart and soul level makes you happier. Not necessarily what is more money, what makes you happier, what feels like it's going to be more exciting, more invigorating. And that may be the wildflower path, the unconventional one. So I think you're kind of at you're heading towards a 2 of Wands or 2 of Swords moment where you're deciding, am I going to be paralyzed by fear or am I going to look opportunity straight in the face and say, right here, put the pin on the map? And that's kind of what you do with the 2 of Wands. It's like they're deciding, they spin it around and I'm going right here and this is how I'm going to do it. The 2 of Swords, they're blindfolded and like, I don't know, I could do this, I could do this. What do I do? So don't worry, you'll make the right choice. You've got to go into the heart though. Feel it out. You can always feel out a decision between staying or going or moving between 2 places or some sort of a shift. It will be, the answer's here. That's why we got this in your Destiny card. Destiny is malleable, but she's reminding you, you should love who you are. You should love what you're doing. You should feel a sense of joy and happiness in your heart. Okay. So there we go. What I'd like to do, I'm starting something new this month, experimenting with it. I don't do pull of cards and I don't answer questions here, but I have a unique way of answering your question. So I'd like you to think about something that you want guidance on. We're going to meditate. Hold that thought in the meditation today, and then I'll pull a card at the end and I'll give you some insights on this sort of collective question that you're all asking me. So I'll find commonality in it, and I'll look at it from a few points of view, and we'll pull a final card after the meditation. Before we meditate, I would love to remind you of a couple of things. First of all, if you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do it. Sometimes I will just do an impromptu reading, or sometimes the time changes. And when that happens, it's really important to get a notification. I'm trying to find it, but you know where it is. But basically, hit the like and subscribe, and there's a little bell icon that will help you. Here it is. This will help opt you into an email notification too, if you'd like it. I have a newsletter as well. So once a month, at the beginning of the month, I will post the previous readings plus the upcoming dates for the new ones, and I put hyperlinks in it. So that's a great way to also just have that in your inbox. So either like and subscribe or sign up for the newsletter. And I'd love for you also to follow me on social media, because I put out reminders here. On social media, I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh on everything except Twitter, where I'm N Ashbaugh. And I will use the story and the fleet feature on all of these different platforms to remind you what I'm doing today, where to show up, where the link is, if I can embed it, etc. Okay. Patreon and channel memberships are a great way to give back. And if you wonder where does that go, well, it goes to buying new decks. And I have a new one, which I'm going to use later this month. I recently bought like the little Prince deck. I have this flower deck, which is fairly new. And so I basically reinvested in the resources here, and the index cards and the Sharpies. So thank you for making all that possible. All right, let's meditate, and then I'll talk a little bit more about some other stuff at the end. For today's meditation, I want us to be the willow tree, because that's what came through in the meditation. So we're going to be strong. We're going to learn how to bend. We're going to learn how to stretch a little bit. And then think of your question that you want answered, why you are that willow tree, and I'll pull a card afterwards, okay? The meditation usually lasts like 2 minutes. So you made it this far, stick around. We'll have one more card afterwards, like I said, to answer your question. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Great energy in the group today. I saw someone ask a funny question there that I couldn't answer because I was in the middle of reading, but you asked what sign Apollo is. I don't know, because I adopted him, but I'm looking here at, it would have been like, let's see, March, April, May 20. I think he might be a Gemini. I'll have to look at this. Funny that you mentioned it. I think he might be a Gemini. But anyway, I would call him by like his adoption date. I'll look it up later and I'll get the exact date, and I'll post it on social media sometime, because he's got an adoption date coming up. So I kind of see that as his date. But anyway, I want to make sure that I have the right date before I say it. He's everybody's doggy. I think that's the kind of cool thing if you're adopted, by the way, whether you're human or a dog, who cares? He is here for everyone. So let's not pigeonhole him in any particular sign, because I don't know his birth date. So I think he's just a little cosmic gift to all of us. All right, let's focus now. Close your eyes. I want you to imagine that you are, it's a beautiful summer day, and you are embodying the energy of a tree. But in order to do this, let's just imagine that you're walking towards a weeping willow. And there's this beautiful stream that's cutting through this property. And listen first to the sound of the stream flowing around the roots, around the base of this tree, and see that there's this little it's kind of like a peninsula where the tree is at. So you can kind of step into this little tiny area of land, sit down underneath the tree, lean against it, and just listen for a moment. Hear and see and smell all the things that surround the tree. So you hear the gentle trickle of the water around you. You can hear the gentle rustle of the leaves above you. A few of them might actually gently come down, touch you on the nose, and fall on the ground. You can smell the scent of spring, honeysuckle, or whatever kind of maybe clover blossoms, whatever it is that you associate with spring in your neck of the woods. And feel the sort of nice, cool breeze. It's just starting to warm up, but the days are still not hot. You have a cool breeze here by the stream. And as you lay back and let your back be supported by the tree, you feel this energy almost as if the tree comes forward and hugs you. And in fact, a couple of the branches in the meditation are coming around you, these weeping willow branches, and they're giving you a gentle embrace. And as you melt into the energy and aura of the tree, you can feel and see what it sees and feels. So I want you to trace your energetic pattern all the way up to the top of the branches. And as you see the little birds that are up there chirping and sitting on the branches, you feel this connection of love. You feel the support that this tree gives to the natural environment. And as the wind starts to blow, you're able to move, you're able to bend. You feel a flexibility in your thought process that didn't exist prior to connecting to the tree. You think, I am capable of doing this. I am deserving of these things that I've created in my life. I am ready for all of these things that are lining up synchronistically for me. I just made up a word, but enjoy it. I am ready for all of these things. And smile as you're connected with the tree. Take a deep breath. And on the exhale, I want you to release whatever it is that you don't want in your life anymore, and just let the stream take it away, let the breeze take it away, and be strong like the willow. And now move into the roots, and I want you to think of something that you want to create, something that you want to fix, something that you want in your life. Send it into the planet. Mother Earth can hear your prayers as well. Gaia can hear it as well. Send it in like a root and allow it to take sort of a foothold now. You're going to now step outside of the tree for a second and realize that you have the energy of that. And I want you to start to reach up and to reach down and to create. The tree is still supporting you. It has its arms around you, but you're stepping out just enough so that you realize your own strength too. It's not just the tree, it's you. Let's meditate there for a moment in the embrace of the tree, with the sun shining down, with the water flowing around you, with your own sort of symbolic roots reaching into the planet, sending a prayer to Mother Earth and to Father Sky. Allow the two different energies, divine masculine and feminine, to hear you. And then once you've done that, think about what your question is, and I'll pull a card at the end. Close your eyes if they're not already closed. Make that final wish, make that final intention. Figure out what it is that you want some guidance on and release that. As you exhale, you can open your eyes on the next natural exhale. And let's take a look and let's see what's coming through here. So I'm going to interpret this from a few different points of view because I'll be reading for many of you with one question, but let's see what the advice is collectively for your next sort of opportunity. Okay. First time we've got like a court card and cups. We've gotten cups here before, but all right, so we have the King of Cups. What a great card, by the way, to come through. For those of you looking for love, this is a great lover. King of Cups is a really great energy, very loving, very supportive, strong, divine. There's divine masculine and feminine energy that's part of the King of Cups, which is what I like. For those of you that are creative, this is about owning that creativity, something that we talked about before as well. And this is really about emotional maturity in your own life and your own self. So for many of you, when you feel it, mind, body, and spirit, then you're going to be able to deliver it. This is a heron, but it reminds me a little bit of a stork, right? A little bit. So when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the ability to deliver, to give something, and to give it like mind, body, and spirit. So are you ready to receive? Because this is the ultimate of being like ready to give and receive. Ace of Cups is the beginning, but the King of Cups is saying, I've worked through all of the lessons in the minors. I'm now at the point where I'm ready. I'm not afraid of rejection, criticism, setbacks, whatever, because I know it's going to happen. So there's a knowing that goes into this particular card. So if you know it, if you feel it, if you believe it, you better believe that it's going to happen. It will happen. So I get a lot of hope with this. This is basically what was missing earlier. So get into that excitement, into that joy, and making it sort of an undeniable, charismatic, I want to say infectious, but no one wants to say that anymore. So I would just want to say, like, make the love spread, right? It's a good kind of spreading. And that's what we have here with the King of Cups. When you have that, it's a magnetic, there we go, that's a much better choice. It's a magnetic sort of energy. So get into your heart space, feel it, and then other people will be magnetized by that energy. Yeah, we're not going to use contagious. We're going to say magnetized. And I think that that's going to be really key. So are you ready to be the magnet? Are you ready to draw these things in? If you are, it exists all within your heart space. So feel it. If you're looking for love, yeah, this is a great card for love, but love yourself first. That's really what this was saying. It was the final card for destiny. Love yourself, love what you're doing, be in that sort of frequency of love, and some really cool things can come out of that. So yes, as Andre put out there, all the magnets, we're ready to pull it in. There's a Katie Lang song, Constant Craving, right? I think, but she talks about life being like a great magnet pulling you through and everything. And I kind of remember that song as I'm looking at that and connecting with that. But see yourself as that big magnet, and you're ready to receive. So that's part of your mantra. I am ready. Let's bring it on, right? All right, so just a quick summary before we wrap up. Again, general programming note. I hope you can join me on the 28th of this month of March. I have to look because I'm reading for April. So on March 28th, I'll be doing the next month's general reading. So you can look at this month's. It's already on my channel. I do a collective. Everybody's welcome. I hope you can show up. And every month is unique. I've stopped trying to theme them. I'm just kind of treating them like any reading, and whatever I receive prior to that, we'll go into it. There's usually 3 parts to it. There's a general plus a couple of specific things that I picked up on. So I hope you can join that. I want to say thanks again to everybody that's been participating here in chat, everyone that's given contributions through Super Chat. If you want to look at this later and give some support, you can do that through the applaud button. It's right next to the thumb up, thumb down. So you can click thumb up. Please don't do the thumb down. Click the applaud button. And by the way, engagement is super important for YouTube for some reason. So when you like, subscribe, share, and comment, it helps others discover it. And that's my goal here. I want to kind of spread this resource. So any of the above will help me reach more people. If you like what you see and you want to give back on a continual basis, you can do that with join. The join button's kind of cool because you can stop at any point and you can restart and you won't lose your little symbol. So if you end up earning like a star or whatever, I have a bunch of little emojis, you'll get to keep that whenever you rejoin. You can also join me on Patreon, and the Patreon is cool because I will send out my newsletter and other things so that I often open up Q&A to the memberships, the members here and the Patreon members as well. Join me on social media again. I put the information up earlier, so I'm not going to go through all of this. It's mostly at Nicholas Ashbaugh. For more information on anything, you can go to my website, including where to buy my book. So for those of you that are like sci-fi geeks, fantasy geeks, and you enjoy something like Lord of the Rings or Dune, you can check out my book. It's on most major booksellers, not just Amazon, but like Barnes & Noble. It's also on available at Walmart, and you can get it overseas, Waterstones, Blackwell's, a bunch of places. So check out the link on my website if you're interested. A nice way to give and also to receive. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today. I will be back later this week for the next 2 signs. So let's say I'm doing Gemini now. I'll be doing Cancer and Leo later this week. You can look at my website for the schedule. And until then, have a great week. Thank you for showing up. Thanks again to my moderators for helping me out today, and sending lots of love and light to all of you. So see you soon. Take care, everybody, and best of luck, okay?